From that right there, you probably think I'm in Mexico, but no, I'm actually still in Arkansas. This is the lovely town of Hot Springs. The thing is beautiful, man. So this is very historic, actually, because this street is where your favorite gangsters probably came to. Al Capone, Dillinger. Shit, I even think Bunny and Clyde was down here often. Some nice baseball players as well. So this street, Central Avenue, is very, very famous. Well, I'm not gonna say very famous. I'm gonna say Arkansas famous. Here goes some more information right here. And the reason why I'm coming is the Gangster Museum of America. So I got this tour in here. It's supposed to be like an hour long, so I'm not gonna record the whole hour. I'll get the good things. Probably not gonna be talking that much as well, since it's a tour. But across the street, you can see the bathhouse. Let's say you can come in here and get some healing. I go to the museum right here. It costs like $17. I'm coming here to show y'all the reasons about the bathhouses across the street. So there you go. I'm gonna walk over there as well so y'all can just see some of the bathhouse. All right, so I had a little bit of time where I can walk around before the tour. This is one of the bathhouses. I'm gonna walk you down the street. I'm gonna call this the street of bathhouses. Yeah, once again, we're here in Hot Springs, Arkansas, where your favorite gangsters used to come. They used to say this is this was the Las Vegas before Las Vegas. A lot of casino stuff was going on before it was even legal, which is crazy. So this town is very historic. Nice, cool. It's not a hot day today. It's not super humid. Or that might just be me used to Florida heat and like, okay, this is nothing major. So here goes another bathhouse. Very beautiful. I don't know anything about bathhouses. That's why I went ahead and let you get the information from the plaque that was standing. Here goes some more information. This one right here, the blue one, this one looks really, really nice. This one looks really, really crowded. It actually looks like they take walk-ins. So, hey, if you're into that type of thing, or you want some healing, there you go, no necessary appointment. All right, oh, there's some more information about this one too. Buckstaff Bathhouse. You can pause the screen if you want to read that. Yeah. And yeah, so it's the whole street on the opposite side of Central Avenue. But yeah, let me go ahead and get back into the real reason for the video, which was the Gangster Museum. We finna go learn about the gangsters.
Here in this photo box was sitting at the Arlington Hotel back in 2008 on display. It was sold in a private auction to an undisclosed buyer for an undisclosed price. Rumor has it Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys owns this. Now, I have not confirmed that, but I've heard it many times. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, this armored Cadillac has even more significance, though. Because it was actually also used by President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. After the Day of Infamy speech, when we entered the arena of World War II, they panicked because they realized FDR was going to have to do a lot of road stops. And believe it or not, during this time in history, they did not have an armored vehicle in the president's arsenal. In fact, the federal budget for that at that time in history was $750. They had a real dilemma on their hands, but one of the Secret Service men was really quick on his toes, and he says, "Hey, what about Al Capone's seized armored Cadillac at the Treasury Department?" So they scooped that up, and FDR tootled around in Al Capone's armored Cadillac for quite some time until he got his own vehicle armored plated. And if you look on YouTube, there is some film footage of FDR arriving in Al Capone's armored Cadillac. Over here we have a liquor cabinet. Just to the right of the liquor cabinet, right at the top of that frame, what you're looking at is a handwritten prescription for medicinal liquor. Now, during the time of Prohibition, you could come to Hot Springs and go to a doctor and complain about whatever ailment you might have or might not have and get a prescription for the booze of your choice.
Yeah.
Sound familiar?
Yes.
Now, Al Capone came to this town for many reasons, but there's one thing he discovered while he was here that he really fell in love with, and that kept him around for a while. Of course, that was the moonshine coming down from the hills. He considered it the best moonshine he had ever tasted, and perhaps for good reason. It was made with the ancient waters from this area. So being the underworld businessman he was, he figured this would be a great place to set up shop and distribute from. So the first thing he did is he went to one of the bottling plants that bottled Mountain Valley spring water. And he says, "Hey, I just want to buy up a bunch of these empty bottles, no questions asked." That's exactly what he did. And they ended up packing their moonshine in these bottles, and in order to differentiate between water and moonshine, which look exactly alike, they just took that Mountain Valley spring water logo and flipped it upside down. And they were able to sneak these bottles of moonshine onto those Mountain Valley rail cars. And as a direct result, it tripled the amount of rail cars moving coast to coast, north and south, with that big Mountain Valley logo emblazoned across them. And it worked out really well for Mountain Valley Spring Water, because from all that free advertisement, they became the second largest bottled water company in the world in a very short period of time. And at some point, they realized what was going on. But you know what? They didn't want to step on their own toes. They just turned a blind eye to it. Now, this was the Belvedere Dairy. That was just down the road from here off in the Possum Kingdom Hills. That was the front for this moonshine operation. And here's a little bit more to that story.
Yeah, this is dope, man.
Just in case there was any penetration. And he had a very cozy relationship with the warden as well. He would often, or the warden would often invite Al Capone to his own private quarters to dine with him. So I don't know how much more privileged it could get than that. Now the next gallery we're going to be heading to is going to take us off the Gangster Trail for one gallery, and this is where we're going to be learning about Major League Baseball history that happened right here in this town. You got any baseball fans in here by chance? Awesome. Well, this will be a real treat. It's going to be right through this brick hallway. In a glass case. That is a death mask of John Dillinger. That is one of 3 impressions made of him. Now this was years before I lived in Hot Springs. They came in here with their Ghostbuster devices and spent the night in here. And supposedly had a really entertaining time in here with dashing out of the door the next morning. Now, if there's any of this footage uploaded, it will be through the Discovery Channel archives under the title History of the Death Mask, subtitled John Dillinger. Now, in this video, we'll be meeting Alvin Karpus, the Barker Gang, Pretty Boy Floyd, Frank Jelly Mack, Machine Gun Kelly, and especially Bonnie and Clyde, the most famous of them all. They all came to this town because, of course, they were afforded the same luxuries as all the other gangsters. They could come here and walk the street with impunity. This period of time of illegal gambling also came to an end in 1967. This roulette table comes from the Southern Club and the photo on that back wall. You've been down Central Avenue, you've probably seen the wax museum. That's where the Southern Club was back in the day. And this craps table over here is over 100 years old. So I think this is a small speakeasy at some point. It's a very small craps table, beautiful piece of furniture, definitely endangered wood at this point. This is called Tiger Wood. This ended up at a very famous venue called the Vapors. The Vapors was famous for hosting gambling and also famous for hosting the likes of Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra, the McGuire sisters, Phyllis Diller, the list is numerous. A lot of the entertainers that perform there are in a frame over near the chandelier and a frame right over the bar here. Now, this machine, I'm sure you're familiar with the term one-armed bandit. This is it. This is where it gets its name, this tiny little lever there. Now, these machines over here we also refer to as one-armed bandits, and they are, but those are second generation. This is first generation. If you notice, it has this lovely glass top. For that very reason alone, they had to take these off the market really quickly. That glass could not hold up to the pressure of all that excitement and frustration. People would smash their hands right through this. Now, as far as we know, this is one of 7 in existence. They are very rare. Now, in 1967, Winthrop Rockefeller took office as governor in the state, and he was the maestro that brought this whole illegal gambling system to an end. And it's very important to note, Oney Madden died in 1965. He was no longer around to launch any resistance. So I'm sure Rockefeller was thrilled that he was out of the way. He did not want the friction of owning and all the big mob bosses. So when Rockefeller was sworn in as governor, he went straight after this, and they brought it down very quickly. And when they did, it was devastating for this town. You can only imagine, this town was flush with money. But after 1967, this town fell into economic ruin for decades. In fact, it took all the way up until a few summers ago to establish the busiest year for hot springs since 1967. And the reason for that? COVID. Plain and simple. People were coming from coast to coast all over this nation to get out of the lockdown cities to have a little freedom. We were very lax, so now people from all over the United States know where Arkansas is, especially hot springs. Now in this video, we're going to be learning about its history and they've been plugged, but they weigh about 13 pounds, so just be careful not to drop them on your toes. And if you have the hankering to shoot a real Thompson machine gun while you're here in town, you can do so right down the street. There's a shooting range called the Machine Gun Grotto, and they have fully automatic Thompson machine guns there to shoot. Now, real quick, I just want to point out a couple of buildings. Like I said, this town fell into economic ruin for decades, and we lost a lot of history over these many decades. This is our most recent casualty, the Majestic Hotel. The Majestic fell into ruin for decades, and in 2014 it caught fire. In 2006,